today, my name is Tamiel, and I'm back with another video. Before you jump into any of this, just go down and hit that subscribe button. If you've been here for a while and you haven't subscribed already, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go subscribe so that you don't miss my next video, because I'm kind of just rolling them out. So today's video, we're gonna talk about black people. If we're not always talking about black people, we're gonna talk about black people, people in general, but specifically black people, and some of the difficulties that we have around intimacy. And we're gonna start real basic at the difficulties that we have as a people in telling each other and telling people that we seek to be intimate with, people that we have been intimate with, our difficulty with telling each other, I love you. Not love you, not I-O-Y, not L-U-V, you, but I love you. And it really didn't dawn to me until this morning. And a few times, actually, I've been paying really close attention to this. But it really didn't dawn on me until recently, how it really takes, and even in myself, it takes more out of us to actually initiate I love you than it does to be like, oh, love you, or all the different ways that you can say it without actually saying it. It's interesting how much it takes out of us to actually bring that out. Something that we actually should be thinking about, discussing, because I wrote a poem about this. It's in my book. I think it's the first one, called Changes. And I kind of talk about the difficulty that I had coming into a space where I can tell people I love them. Like, I literally, fuck having a feeling. I was all out afraid. I was all out afraid of saying it. And I was dating people who are all out afraid of saying it. Not because they didn't have the love for me, but just because they didn't. We're going to get into that now. Why do I think black people in general, but black people in specifically, have this difficulty with I love you? Thinking back on my past, I can vividly recall the few times that I would have partners, black women. Black women. Oh, y'all, this video about to be good. Black women. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about generational trauma and what that means. Generational trauma is basically trauma from our ancestors, from those of us who have went through things in our direct ancestral line that have not properly had the healing or the unpacking of their trauma. So this trauma gets passed down generation after generation after generation. Now, we all know that as a people, we underwent slavery, which has yet to been really unpacked for what it was, and recognized for what it was, and recognized for what it still does in our society today. This has still yet to been unpacked. So with that just lingering in the air, you got generational trauma from all this structural oppression and physical oppression and dehumanization and degradation. And then in that, you have the current society, which constantly tells us how we should love each other, how we should love ourselves, how we should love, our partners. Constantly have all this input in from social media and our friends and magazines and everything else but ourselves, about how we should love ourselves and the people around us. And it's going to take a lot of shedding. What doesn't serve us, what has never served us, and what would have never served us, what was never made for us. It's going to take a lot of shedding all of that to actually get to a space where we're like, okay, now I can start loving myself. No, before that, now I can start understanding what it even means, what it even looks like to love myself. Now I could take this model of loving myself and apply that to loving somebody else, in addition to considering and acknowledging what their love language is and what they need to actually feel love. The oppression that women face in the slave system and the enslavement of African American people, African American women, let's talk about what they really went through. Some of the sexual violence, some of the emotional and physical violence, some of the just outright degradation, you know, them going for half of price of men on the market. So with that, they were valued less innately in a system that already devalues them. Do y'all hear me? African women were all were being put at a lesser value in a system, a structure, an institution that already was devaluing and dehumanizing and cruelly impacting their lives. Like, just understand that for a minute. Understand the trauma that comes with that for a minute. So now let's talk about black women and black men today, in our social structure today, and how we've been for a while. And then now in our relationships, we need to look at how this is actually put into play, and the things that we say about each other, and the conversations that we have with our friends around each other. Like, all black women and all black men know that there's a conversation had when they go back to their little social groups that isn't always fun or keen or even got too much love in it when it comes to the other party. So we need to sit down and really think about how all of these things in regard to the black family, the black relationship, black people, black love, black salvation, black hope, black faith, how all of these things have been so greatly impacted by the structure and the institution that we have been in over generation and generation, and that we are also in as we speak, and how that impacts the ways that we choose to express our affection, if we can express that affection. This is where I want to get into this and kind of wrap it up. I think it really plays a part. I think it really plays a part when it comes to us, as I was saying, having to express that affection to each other. I think our trauma plays out in a way where we are afraid. We are afraid, we are uncertain, we are unsure, we have trust issues. Like, we don't know where we can invest because so much has been taken away from us that we have invested in: our land, our family, our culture, our people, our communities. Like, all of this was stripped from us. And I was reading a text from my summer class yesterday, and one of the surgeons aboard a slave ship recounted how the natives were so attached to their land. They had such a strong attachment to their land that it was all they sang about, it was all they talked about, it was all they thought about. And as the crew constantly tried to instill them with a joyous spirit about going to a new place and meeting new people, all they could think about is their land, is what they were leaving behind. Even on the slave ships, when they were still docked on the coast of Africa and New Guinea, they were still plotting rebellions because they like, look, the coast is there, I can still get back home. This is how badly these people, this is how strongly they were connected to themselves. And to be ripped away from all of that, there's no kidding that we have trouble connecting with each other, that we have trouble thinking and having faith in our connections because we're afraid that they could just be taken away from us, ripped away from us at any point. Relationships that I was in where fear was the ruling factor of why I did so many manipulative things just to keep people in relationships with me. It's because I was so afraid of that feeling, of that homeliness, of that affection being ripped away from me, as it has always been. That generational trauma that still plays out in our relationships today, and how we want to hold each other, and that possession and these labels that allow us to keep that attachment on each other. It's all a new culture that we've had to adapt to for our emotional well-being, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy, and we're coming to realize now that it's not a healthy way to love each other. It's not a healthy way to love ourselves. But at this point, it has been all that we've known. And every day as we're evolving as a people, I'm looking back on my life and looking at the ways that I engage with the people that I love, that I engage with my family, that I engage with different people outside of my immediate social circle. Looking at the ways that I engage with people, there was so much fear. There was so much fear of people finding out who I really was, of people not liking me because who I really was, of people not wanting to be with me, around me, of people not being able to love me and stay in love with me. Like, I couldn't understand that love does not leave. Even after the person leaves, love does not leave. Love is forever. Once you feel love, love is there, and love is going to exist forever in that space, in the universe. So it was hard for me to conceptualize those things. Why? Because for one, I wasn't in touch with myself. I had not embarked on that journey of loving myself. And with that comes the connection, that strong connection that we have with everything else that comes with us. Whether that be our flaws, whether that be our culture, whether that be our people, our family. We gain that actual appreciation of these things once we actually start to appreciate ourselves. And saying I love you does not become a conflict at that point, because it's of deserving. It's deserving of. It's deserving of that energy. It's deserving of that reaction, that response. So I will say, you actually recognizing the union. The union, but not only the union, what the union really holds. Because when we look at our family, when we look at our mothers, for instance, let's talk about our mothers. Let's talk about the love that we have always been taught that is in the relationship that we have with our mothers. Some individuals don't have this relationship with their mothers. So let's, for one, think about what that does as a culture, to sit here and make the only real love that you can receive in this life from someone that some people still don't have in their life. We cannot be basing love off of other people, first of all. And we cannot be basing unconditional love off of relationships that are so material. Because even the labels that we have on our family, mother, father, brother, sister, uncle, all of that is still material to our culture. The unions themselves are abstract, are spiritual, are out of this world, but the physicality of it, the label of it, the attachment that comes with it, the expectations that come with being parents and sisters and uncles and aunts and grandparents, the expectations that come with those things are all cultural. So once we actually sit and think about, again, the ways that our trauma has impacted the culture that we've had to adapt to, it makes sense that we're sitting here looking at our mothers as the sources of true love in our lives. Yes, that can be true love in your life, but what about people who don't have that? How can we still identify that true love in their life and where that can come from? And how can we start teaching people that that should be something that we readily start to develop within ourselves, that we readily start to teach our children to develop within themselves, a relationship that they should have with themselves and not just outside of themselves, so that they can be able to understand that and readily conceptualize what that should look like in their relationships once they come into not just adulthood, but young adulthood. And even after that, older adulthood. Like, there's so many different phases of life where we still have to learn love in its many different phases, in its many different applications. That is what I kind of wanted to unpack today, y'all, because I was thinking about it, and I've been thinking about it for a while, honestly, for it to be one of the first poems in my book. I've been thinking about it for a while. Why is it so hard for us to tell each other we love each other? Why is it so hard for us to just, like, let it be in itself, I love you? Not love you or ILY or all these abbreviations of what we know, what we recognize truly holds a larger force. Why do we choose to take that force and minimize it and make it any less than what it really is? Why are we so afraid of showing that genuine affection? Why are we so afraid of really stepping into that love power within ourselves, first of all, and in our relationships, second of all? So those are some questions that I want to leave y'all thinking about. This is a conversation that I would love for y'all to join in on, whether it be in the comments, whether it be on my different social media platforms, whether it be on my website where we actually have space for us to engage in these dialogues. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how we have been able to share our affection and how we can build on it so that our relationships can be stronger, so that our cultures can be stronger of love, our culture of love, so that our culture of love can be something of impact in our lives, in our relationships, in our communities. Because love is another thing that we need to find in our community so that we can actually rise up and advocate for each other in so many different ways. Do not forget to like and subscribe. Do not forget to like and subscribe. Do not forget to like and subscribe. And comment down below anything that you have to say about this wonderful discussion that we just had today. This is I Am All That You Are, and please, 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 please come back and get some more of this good love. Now, I have to wrap this up. Love y'all. Peace. I'll see y'all in the next video.